Hey guys, Shadowrek here with a very quick video looking at the nerfs to the tier set on PTR. Also, note for anyone that is not watching my Twitch, first video I've made with it, I do have a new mic. So, an actual desk mic for people to stop complaining instead of a headset mic. Now, just looking at the nerfs, and this is the only change Demon Hunter has gotten, it was just the two set on the Aldrachi tier set was changed from 30 and 60%, 30% buff to all physical damage and 60% to Reaver's Glaive, down to 25 and 50%. This really is somewhere like a 2.5% nerf on Reaver. It's kind of significant, but not that big. As a side note, for Monk, they did buff Mystic Touch to be 8% fizz damage instead of 5%. This actually is about equivalent to what our nerf was, because Mystic Touch works on things that our tier set doesn't, such as Annihilation and Chaos Strike are physical chaos, so they get buffed by Mystic Touch and overwrite our raid buff. Same as if you're talented into a Fire Inside. For some reason, that Immolation Aura also counts as physical, and Mystic Touch overwrites Chaos Brand. So, if you're playing with a monk, this entirely counteracts the nerf that we got. Anyway, going back to it, they also nerfed the Felgard tier set. I heard mention that they may have messed up and only nerfed the text on the tier set itself and not the buff. I'm not 100% certain on that, but it's just instead of 30% bonus damage while Immolation Aura is active on Chaos Strike, it's now 20%. Again, this is minor. You still have a 30% damage bonus on Immolation Aura, and this is kind of just a single target thing. With these two changes together, Aldrachi and Felgard are actually exactly even on single target sims now, which is interesting. They're within. It's actually like 0.01%, if that. It's crazy how close they are. So it's really going to be preference on what you play on pure single target. That's incredibly nice. You can play whichever of the two. In AoE, this is a bit of an AoE nerf for Aldrachi, where Felgard doesn't really get an AoE nerf here. I don't think it's enough to swing anything in Mythic Plus, because again, this is relatively small changes and nothing to freak out about. But I think it does bring Felgard's value up just slightly compared to Aldrachi, and I'm still kind of uncertain on which one's better and when in M Plus on PTR. It's been incredibly hard to tell key to key because the player skill variance is incredible. Uh, as well as people playing like bugged and broken specs, people just doing stuff without gear or having any idea what they're doing. Like, it just makes it very hard to tell run to run and compare the two builds. But I'd say these changes are nothing to freak out about. I know there's been a lot of comments, people being really upset about it, but it's like, think about it this way. With our new tier set, Fury of the Aldrachi's damage, it was going from doubling with the 4-piece and an additional 30% on the 2-piece. So going from its current damage to 260% of what it was, it's now down to 250% of what it was. Our funnel is still absolutely ridiculous, and if they were going to look at a way to nerf us, this was probably an okay way to do it. But yeah, hopefully they continue doing balancing, because honestly they did a shit show of balancing with this specific patch that just came through. For some reason, Beastmaster seems to have gotten stronger, and they seem absurdly broken. Frost Death Knight, I think they literally made a mistake here and meant to nerf them by 10% in this line with all the other buffs, but this is now probably the strongest spec on PTR. So I'm sure there'll be more tuning, but I think we're still in a pretty good spot compared to most specs, but there are absolutely some outliers that are far ahead of us. That's really about everything for this video. I might make another video as a side note on the Mystic Touch thing, but just to speak a little bit on it now, I will say this really frustrates me because this counts on 60 to 70% of our damage, and it means that for Havoc now, you really need to play in a Fizz comp to receive all your buffs. And if you're playing in a group with a warrior and a monk, which you provide no benefit for either of them, they're going to give you over 10% DPS, which is a full key level. And having it be a thing where Havoc's best buff synergies are a composition that you don't buff at all is incredibly frustrating. Because just to take that further, that typically means a comp that's going to have like a restoration shaman healer, and then some mix of brewmaster or prot warrior, feral druid, or mix those up any way you want, and you end up with a tank and 2 DPS dealers that do virtually 0 magic damage, but they buff you an incredible amount. And with all those raid buffs combined, you're nearing 20% damage increase, while you provide absolutely nothing for everyone else. It feels like an incredibly bad design, where specifically Havoc is getting shafted because they benefit from the fizz damage increase and they buff casters. Very stupid. Hoping this gets changed back. I know a lot of people have been complaining around on this. This seems just like an incredibly, incredibly stupid way to do this buff. Anyway, that's all for the video for today. Thank you. If you like my content or learning things about Havoc, I appreciate a like on the video, or you could even subscribe to my channel. Until next time, have a good one.